Okay, just to check, can you see my PowerPoint? Can I just get confirmation? Can someone just come up with sound and tell me you can see my first slide, please?
Able to see?
Yes. Can see.
Okay. Thank you. I'll carry on.
We can see it.
Thank you. Okay, so we're continuing with our third session on Coding Unplugged, and I always need to give credit to everyone that's contributed to these 4 sessions. Kelly, Boos, Selby, Lehanda, and Keith. They presented 4 separate sessions in February, and I'm kind of taking some of their content and using it in these workshops, so I would like to give them credit. Today okay, that's not good. What did I do wrong now? Right. For some reason, the other stuff pops up. Okay. Today I'm going to be doing the Boats app. I must say I'm a bit nervous about what I'm trying here today because it's very practical, hands-on. So I'm really hoping that you've downloaded the Boats and the Tanks app, especially the Boats app, that you have your cell phones with you, obviously, as well as the little direction cards which you got by PAX. We're going to use them. And then at the end of the session, I'm just going to quickly introduce Tanks and then give you some homework, because the real complex coding next week is higher grade coding. For us to do it next week, you will have to do some of the levels of Tanks as homework. Okay, so just the history behind the Boats app. We started with the Tanks app in 2017 as an honors project by Baron Batterson. And then in May, me and my wife were invited to 2 events, one in Germany and one in Norway, to talk on the work that we were doing. My wife has an art project, I'll show you now. And when the Germans and the Norwegians heard the concept of Tanks, they weren't very happy. Especially the Norwegians, it was a child expo, told us that there's no ways that they'll allow us to play Tanks with kids. I tried to explain that it's not war, but there was no way. So we had to come up very soon with something else. As I said, my wife was involved with an art project at that stage with learners here from Port Elizabeth, also in collaboration with German colleagues, where they drew beautiful paintings, which we took up to Germany to go and sell that here. And I decided to combine the art that was linked with marine life with a board game called Boats. Very much the same as Tanks, just a board game at that stage, and you had to remove plastics from the ocean by packing out your code and moving your boat around. So the Boats app now is kind of a continuation of that board game. Before we go into the practical stuff, Boats is very much aimed at foundation phase, grade R to grade 3. It is the very basic coding concepts that you should find in any curriculum focusing on those year groups, and you will also find it in the draft curriculum. The basic, I call them the Lego or the early logo commands: move forward, move backward, turn left, turn right. And then spatial orientation. It has to do with spatial orientation, which is part and parcel of coding. So what we're doing today is very basic coding. There's no complex stuff. The challenge for today is just to get you guys on the app and getting the technical stuff working. Okay, so getting started. Please interrupt me, but I'm very aware that in a practical session, there are people that don't really understand what I'm saying, or they're struggling with their phones, and I won't be able to wait infinitely. Just kind of as a comfort, I will be making available some videos afterwards that you can watch that will guide you through these sessions as well. And obviously this recording will also be available soon. So the first thing I want you to do is I'm assuming you've downloaded Boats, to go onto your Boats app by clicking on that token and making sure that the Boats app is open on your phone. If you haven't downloaded boats by now, I'm afraid we're not going to have time. So you're going to have to follow me and then come back and redo the video afterwards. Any uncertainties at this stage? Just talk to me. I can't see the messages. Are we okay? I'm just going to assume silence is okay. Okay, so when you go into boats, this would probably be the first screen that you get. Now, no, you don't really want to register. We use these registrations for tournaments when learners play. Even when they play, it's not necessary. You're obviously welcome to register, but for today, you can just click on proceed without logging in. Proceed without logging in. And then you should get to this biographical screen. You can type in any nonsense there if you want to. This biographical screen is very important when the learners participate in tournaments. I'll say something about that later today. So I'm going to give you a minute or so just to type in your info or just type initials, whatever. Just make sure no one was going to look at this. This would only happen when you participate in tournaments. So just type in correct stuff or junk, whatever you want to. So I'm going to wait for you to all be at the main menu of boats, like the one you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen. And you will all need the direction cards, which hopefully you received via the packs. Okay, hopefully you're all in. Any voice comments on anything that I need to be aware of at this stage? Okay, right, so the first thing is just kind of an add-on. It's not really have to do with coding. Boats has a marine pollution as well as a renewable energy theme. So these direction cards, which I posted you, when people buy the full boats coding kit, I think there's like 90 different. There's like 90 different cards that you will get with different information about marine pollution. And Kelly Bush, that did the cards for me and the coding kit, is a foundation phase teacher, and she said to me, but you put all these facts on, but the kids can't read them. So we introduced the concept of QR codes and that information about marine pollution being read out to the learners. So what I want you to do, and let's trust this works, it should work. I tried it just on my own app. You click on scan codes at the bottom of your menu, and then you'll get to a screen that says scan now. Someone's mic is not muted. If you could just mute your mic, please. So you click on scan now. I tried to take a photo of this, but the scanning happened so quickly that I couldn't take a photo. So you scan now, and then on the direction card, the QR code, you just make sure that the scan window goes onto the QR code. It should recognize it and then read out the marine pollution fact out loud. It's actually Kelly Bush's voice. So just see whether you can do it. If someone gets it right, just play it to me, switch on your mic and play it to us so we can hear the different stories.
Some countries have banned the use of plastic bags.
Great. Let's get one more voice note from Kelly.
50% of the plastic we use just once and throw away.
Okay, great. So some of you are getting it right. If you couldn't get it right, most phones do the QR code. So I haven't found many phones that can't do it. There could be something wrong with your camera, maybe, or if it's a low-level phone, there could be problems. But I've used it on 650 Rand phones. It should work. So let's trust that you all could do that. After the session, you can WhatsApp me or email me, and I can help you if you do struggle. Okay, so as I said, this has nothing to do with coding, but it's the environmental theme that we're trying to emphasize, and we're recognizing that some kids can't read the direction cards. Okay, so the direction cards, these are the typical cards that you received. You would have all received different ones because we literally took a pack of 80 cards and distributed them amongst 8 people. So I think you should have all received around 10 cards. And they all have the commands: move backward, move forward, turn left, turn right, which is the coding that we'll be doing today. These cards are used for scanning, but I'll show you later on how to do it. So the right-hand side of these cards can also be scanned, but we're not there yet. So if you have your cards with you, let's do a quick little exercise. It's very similar to what we did last week. So in all your challenges in boats, you will have a boat that needs to reach a plastic token. The plastic tokens are kind of symbolically removed from the ocean by moving your boat onto the plastic ocean. Okay, someone has just left. Right. So what I want you to do is, with your cards, just see whether you need to use these 4 cards. It's actually very easy. It's revision from last week. See whether you can quickly pack them. That will take the boat to the plastic token. So just physically try and pack them out. I've just gone out of presentation mode so I can move my tokens around. And I honestly don't know why my PowerPoint does that. Okay, so this should be rather basic for most of you, since we had more complex stuff last week. So the way you need to get used to pack them in boats is from top to bottom. So it's move forward, then turn left, and then move forward. Any questions on this?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay. So it's move forward, turn left, and move forward, and your boat arrives on the token. I'm just trying to get you used to this logic before we actually go into the app, because you'll be using these similar commands inside the app. Any comments, any questions at this stage? Okay, so I'm going to move on. So when you get to your main menu, the top, you've got the 3 options. I'm going to focus on the first one at the top, which is called the single player. So you're welcome to click on the single player token, and you should see a grid that looks like this. They will all be different, I think, because they randomly generated where they put the boats. So you'll see there's 2 boats with the squares around them. The other little tokens are symbolizing plastics in the ocean. Okay, so are you all there? Right, something to note with the single player. The single player is where learners can play against the iBoat. So it's a single learner on their phone playing against, let's call it the robot called iBoat. So when it's iBoat's turn and it says iBoat at the top, then the iBoat will move by itself and try and get to a token. When it's the player's turn, it's your chance to move your boat. You should see that when it's your turn, your boat will be flashing. So it's not always the same color boat. Your boat will be flashing. So, and then you need to look at where your boat is flashing and then say to yourself, where's the nearest plastic token that I can remove? Okay, so I'm going to give you a chance just to look at that before we look at the enter code option. So in my scenario, this my boat is here at the bottom in the middle, and what we've just done, the first token is away, move forward, turn left, move forward. Okay, I trust you all with me. This is a great game for kids to play on their own at home or in class, and everything I'm showing you now is available for free. You don't need the direction cards to play this. I'll show you now. Okay, any questions? Can I carry on? I'm kind of a blind leader here. I'm not sure how many people are still behind me, but I'm moving on. Right, so if I'm the player and I click on enter code, I notice here that my boat needs to go move forward, turn left, move forward. These are the cards that I packed out just now. If I want to remember this before I go to the next screen, it's a good idea to pack out my cards. Or I've seen kids that write them down, but you've got the physical cards to pack out if you want to put down your code, because you're not going to physically use these cards now in the app. At this stage, they're just for memory's sake. Then you click on enter code and you will reach this screen. Now, I've noticed that learners immediately know what to do, but I've noticed also that adults, including myself, don't immediately know what to do. So what we aim at doing is to type those. We need those commands in the middle down. Where there's empty, we need to replace that by move forward, turn left, move forward. Now the arrows on the right-hand side as well as on the left-hand side are used to what we call in computer language toggle between the different commands. So I want to invite you to click on those arrows, the one with the square around, and you should see the middle column toggling between different commands. Move forward, move backward, turn right, turn left, and then you've got repeat commands. Move forward 3 times, move backwards 4 times. So quickly see whether you can do that. And then you need to do it for the first 4 commands, so that you in the middle have move forward, turn left, move forward. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a while to do that. And remember, this is coding for foundation phase. So the spatial orientation and these kind of commands are probably the most you can expect from foundation phase learners. So we don't need to go into the complex code that we'll be doing next week with tanks. Okay, so you need to end up with these commands in the middle. Move forward, turn left, move forward. By clicking on the right-hand side after toggling between the different commands. Maybe just so that I know I'm not talking to myself, just voice note, just say, I'm there, I've got it. A few people. Or I'm struggling, can you help?
Got it loud and clear.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Sounds
you.
good.
Got it.
Okay, so if you've got those 4 commands set up, you click on the tick here at the bottom right-hand side, and you should see your boat move. So for the move forward, it will move forward once, then it will move forward the second time, it will turn left and move forward onto the plastic. So I hope you can all do that now. Once you've reached the plastic successfully, you should end up with either a multiple choice question on the theme of renewable energy or marine pollution, or either just a tip. So whatever question you got, see whether you can guess the answer. You will all be getting different questions at this time because they're random. And then when you click continue, you can see whether you've answered correctly. Learners score points by reaching tokens and by answering multiple choices correctly. So while they're learning some coding concepts, they're also being taught environmental facts. In actual fact, I think there's around 80 to 90 multiple choice questions. So for the learners that really want to achieve in the boats tournaments or in these little games, they need to, in the end, remember or have written down up to 80 different multiple choice question answers, which is a very great environmental awareness project. Okay, can I just get a voice thumbs up from a few people, or questions if you're struggling?
Got it, Prof.
Okay, I know at this stage you want to play, so I'm going to give you a minute or so just to play against the iBoat. So you can just play and you get to grips with the mechanism of the game. And I can assure you kids get to grips with this much quicker than us. So they kind of intuitively know what to do.
What's interesting is that I battle because I have to remember the previous screen.
Yes. Yeah, people have said to me, I've thought up all tricks, but other people have said that's a good thing. It's also just a further challenge to remember the previous screen. So it's either memory or you need to make a plan with the cards. Yeah, but learners have commented on that, but I'm not going to change that. I don't think it needs to be made easier.
No, it's great because it kind of forces you to do a bit of a shorthand as well.
Any other comments from your side, anyone, delegates, on the experience of this?
Go behind it.
Sorry? What did you say? So are we all happy to move on?
Yes.
Okay. Right, so this single player is the feature of boats that we use in our boats tournaments, virtual boats tournaments. We've had 4 already since April lockdown last year. Our last one was now in April, and this is the team from East Side who was one of the finalists. A lovely photo I got from them yesterday. This guy here, Simamkele, is here from New Brighton. He was our first tournament winner last year, April. So we hope to have more tournaments later this year. The development team is just trying to find a little bug for me that's caused a lot of frustration in the previous tournament. But we'll either have one over Mandela Day, or maybe last year we had one over Heritage Month in September. So I will have all your details and I will inform you when your learners can participate. And this is the learners play the game and their scores are submitted directly to me. And then we choose the winner. In the April tournament, we had 460 learners from 70 schools, and they submitted over 15,000 scores. So the learners really enjoy this. And as I said, for the learners that do well, they score up to over 2,000 points. They have to know 90 environmental facts. So it's coding and environment. Right, then the double player, I'm not going to say much about it. The double player is the same mechanism, but in this case it will be 2 learners playing against each other. So they will have one phone amongst each other. One guy will play and hand over to the other learner, and they will play. It's an ideal way of having a tournament in your class where they compete, and you can have a knockout, or you can let them practice first and get the environmental facts. Something I forgot to mention about the the tournament, the virtual tournament, you can, as a school, obviously let me know that you want to have your own internal tournament over 2 or 3 days, and just ask me to collect the scores, and then I will give you the winners. So you don't need to wait for a national tournament. You can organize your own in-school tournament. And also, when we get to the tournaments, it's not just foundation phase kids, obviously. We've had up to grade 12s playing. So the boats tournaments are fun for any age group. And this then is simply just 2 learners playing against each other on one phone. Then the packs is the third option. These packs are mainly the School Pack 1, School Pack 2, and School Pack 3 are connected to the boat's lesson plans, but they can obviously also be used independently. The challenges get more and more complex. So if you, for example, choose School Pack 2, there will be 10 levels, 10 games that the learners can choose from. There's 10 levels per pack. The Go LexisNexis is 40 levels, which is a nice challenge. These packs do not have multiple choice environmental questions. They're just about the coding. So if you end up choosing School 13, this will be the challenge. So it's a very basic challenge, mainly aimed in at foundation phase kids, and the same mechanisms will be used to get the boat to the plastic. But there's no multiple choice questions. So this is purely just coding. So it's an ideal way to get your learners to do basic coding. And as the packs go from 1 to 3, the challenges become more and more complex. And they're also then connected to this 10 lesson plans. But you don't need the lesson plans to play these packs. Okay, the scan tokens, I'm going to let us try this. But I'm very worried to do this virtual without seeing what you're doing, but I'm going to try and explain it on the screen, and then you guys can see whether you can get it going. So what you have is where we just now toggled between the commands by clicking on the buttons, on the toggle buttons. We now are going to use our actual direction cards, the physical cards that you have there with you. So let's say, for example, I want to go move forward, move forward, move forward. So I want to move forward 3 times. What I then do is I take my direction cards and I place them vertically below each other. It reads from the top to the bottom. Just a tip, it has to be preferably on a darker background, and your lights should not be too bright. I find it actually works better with dimmer lights because we're going to do image recognition now. This is neural networks built into the app that picks up the tokens, the move forward tokens and all the others. So once you're happy that you've packed your cards below each other in this fashion, you can click on the camera in the bottom left, in the bottom middle. And then you should see this kind of thing happening on your screen. It's picking up these commands. The colors that you see, the rectangle colors, is what the artificial intelligence or neural network is picking up. It becomes tricky here because sometimes you've got to try 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times until you get it right. And as you try, the app teaches itself. That's what artificial intelligence or neural networks are. So it teaches itself. You keep on clicking on your camera at the bottom. And when it's more or less happy, you should see that you've identified the 3 move forwards. So you didn't get these 3 move forwards by toggling. You're getting them from scanning from the cards. This is obviously not necessary, but it adds some additional fun to the kids. And it's also preparing you for the tanks scanning that we'll be doing later on. So these direction cards can then be used to scan in. And we normally say not more than 5 or 6 at a time, because the neural network tends to get confused if you give it too many cards to scan. So I'm going to give you a minute or 2 to play around with this. Don't stress too much if you can't get this going. This is kind of also dependent on your camera, your phone's camera, and your getting your light right and your background, etc. It's obviously not necessary. You can use the toggling if this doesn't work, but it's a nice to have if your camera allows. Don't get despondent if it doesn't work the first or second time or third time. It's learning, so it should get better after a while. Or unfortunately, for some cameras, it won't work. Especially cheaper model phones might not work on this feature. So once again, I would like to hear when anyone has got it working on your side, the actual scanning.
Got it working?
Great.
All right.
Good to hear.
I've got it working as well.
Wonderful. So if you can get this working in class, it's obviously great fun. Technically, this is part of the boats kit, which schools buy from us. But if you're really interested, I can just email you the PDFs and you can print them in black and white if you want to. We sell the cards separately for 100 Rand. The boats kit is 1,500. But if you only want these cards to play with, they are 100 Rand. Plus courier, unfortunately. Or I can just email you the PDF and you can print out black and white. Just ask me afterwards. Okay. I just want to note we finished with boats. Now that's more or less all the features of boats, but I think it's a nice to have in class for foundation phase teachers. The boats coding kits have these resources. We used some of those activities in the first week as well as last week, I think. And then for the foundation phase teachers, we will have the kits if you want to get them. From the beginning of next semester, Kelly Bush who did the lessons, will be doing online lessons as she goes through the 10 workshops every second week. We got a kind sponsorship from Amazon, and they will be distributing the kits to a bunch of schools in the Western Cape where they are. But they also sponsored Kelly to do these workshops. So that will start early next semester. It will be like a train the trainer workshop. She will discuss 2 lessons every time, which the teachers can then go and implement in class. I think by then we would have distributed at least 150 boats kits across the country. You can talk to me afterwards. As I say, the boats kits are 1,500. Or if you think you qualify as a beneficiary, I keep potential beneficiary list as I get sponsors. No guarantees, but I just need to know who thinks they qualify that can't really afford the 1,500. Okay, I want to quickly just introduce the Tanks app because for our coding lesson next week, you wouldn't have need to complete it levels 1 to 10 by next week. We're not going to do all of that today, but I just want to get you started now. And then you please, if you don't do your homework, you won't be able to do next week. So Tanks is this token icon on your phone. So if you click on it, I think the menus are quite explanatory. You will find the main. Okay, let me just give you time to go out of boats and into Tanks. So you need to click on the token, then click on play until you get to these levels. There are in total 35 levels that you can do. For today, I'm just going to try and get you to work level 1. While you're busy, Tanks is appropriate from grade 4, I would say 8 years old and older, up to 60. I've had a lot of adults play and I struggle to stop them. Unfortunately, the Tanks app, you need the tokens, the puzzle pieces. That's why we had to courier that to you. Tanks does not work without the puzzles like boats. It's directly linked to the puzzles. Okay, so I'm assuming everyone's there. Anyone have a comment or asking me to wait a while? Right, so if you get to the 35 levels, they get more and more complex. The reason why I need you to do all 10 by next Tuesday is you can't go on to the next row if you haven't done 3 or 4 from the previous row. And for next week's coding, we need to work in levels 11 to 15. So if you click on level 1, you should see this. In each one of the tank's challenges, the tank needs to move onto a star. And the path that the tank needs to take becomes more and more complex. Now, in this one, it's very easy to see that the tank just needs to move forward once. Okay. So your code for tanks, so you need to have your puzzles now. You need to get the start token. Tanks always, you need to start with the start token. And then you plug the move forward into the start. So I'm going to give you a chance just to find those 2 puzzle pieces. The start and the move forward. Same with boats. Try and get a darker background, not a glary white background. If your light is too bright, it might not work. I'll get to the different hiccups that you can have just now. Okay, just to show you, to talk while you're busy, these little circles in the middle, those are the QR codes. And they actually the identifiers when we do the scanning or the image recognition. Right, can we carry on? So you need in front of you now the start and the move forward plugged in like this, like a puzzle piece. Then when you're on your screen, on the right hand side of your screen, you'll see the scan camera, similar to boats. So if you click on that camera, your screen should look like the one on the right hand side with the circle, the camera circle on the right hand side of the screen. So your trick now is to get the start and the move forward tokens focused. Important here to try and be vertically above them. So don't try and take them from the side. Sometimes it works, but it's not good. So you need to be above them. You need to keep your hand steady. And you need to try and see that it's focusing. Once again, unfortunately, some cameras won't work because of the camera quality. And I can't do anything about that. You can play around with distance. When you click on the circle on the right-hand side, you should see this screen indicating that the tokens have been identified correctly. If you don't see these 2 tokens, then the camera didn't do it again, and you would say no and try again. If you did see them, you say yes. And then if you say yes, you should see your tank moving. So I'm going to give you a while just to get that going. And then maybe just more than 2 or 3, just tell me when you've managed to move your tank onto the star, so I can get more or less a feel whether it's working, or tell me if you have problems.
John, I got it working. I had to play a little bit with the focus to get both in. So first was 1 token, but I had to turn my camera on a bit, so it was a little bit of play. Yeah. Yeah,
it takes some practice to get that right. Any other feedback?
Hi, I found if you take the picture from a bit more of a distance rather than close up, it seems to accept it better.
Yes, especially for the fancy cameras, fancy phones, the Samsung 10s and stuff. Yeah, often it works better from far. I'm saying that, but the 650 Dixon at Cash Crusaders also works better if you keep it further away. People tend to want to zoom in on it and have it cover the whole screen, but then it works worse. So your problem is often too close, not too far.
Thank you for the advice. I used my camera a little bit from a distance, then it worked. All along, it just picking one card.
Yeah. If you move it away, it works better.
Yes, yes.
And something that people also make a mistake, they think they need a bright light. I often switch off the lights. The dimmer, the better for the image recognition. The bright light is often a big problem. And then obviously a colorful background with flowers and stuff, that mixes up the image recognition. And shade, you don't want shade across your code. Any other feedback of people that struggled and succeeded or are still struggling?
Got it right.
Thank you. Great. Okay, we're nearly done for the day. I just want to repeat what I've said. If you have problems scanning the tokens, be careful of bright light. Tokens on an even colored background. Photographers tell me dark blue is the best, but any darker background. Play with distance, we've talked about that. Obviously keep the phone steady. Kids struggle with this. When you take the photo, they shake it and then it's blurred. And you need to be vertically above the tokens for best results. Sometimes people are just lazy to stand up. They try and take it from the side and it doesn't work. Okay, just a reminder when you get to level 3. Remember we did this last week. In your pack of puzzles, you only have 3 move forwards and 3 move backwards. So this level 3 intuitively would want to move forward, turn right, move forward, turn right, and move forward again, which will need 4 move forwards. But we specifically did this last week, so I'm just going to show you, repeat the solution. So you say start, move forward, turn right, move forward twice, and then instead of turning right and saying move forward, you think out of the box, you turn left, and then you can use your move backward. So level 3 is your first real challenge. And then from level 6, you can shoot. And you'll see from level 6 onwards, there's rubble in your way that you can shoot away. And just to take note that you can shoot from a distance. You don't need to be up to the gravel to shoot it away. You can shoot from a distance. I'm giving you my cell phone number. Maybe you want to write it down. If you have challenges, I've got small instructional videos. That's easier to WhatsApp to you than to email. So if you want to write down my cell phone number and you have any problems, please WhatsApp me and I'll send you videos. There's a video for level 1, 2, 3, and 6. I'm not going to help you further than 10. You can explore. Because actually in 10, I want to show you some other tricks. I will also send so I can send you. There's also troubleshooting videos, etc. So you're more than welcome to WhatsApp me on this number. It's easier actually for me to do it than via email. Okay, then for next week, when we're done, please complete up to level 10. If you really can't do up to 10, up to 8 is okay. But if you're not up to 8, you can't do level 11, and then you're going to be stuck next week. Next week is going to be higher grade coding. Today was easy stuff, more technical, but next week is really looping concepts, etc., which is great fun from level 11 upwards. If you want to, you're welcome, obviously, to go past level 10. I find people can't really stop. It's probably good fun, and then once I've showed you what to do next week, you might find more optimal solutions. Okay, I think that is more or less it. Are there any last minute questions from your side?
Maybe if we are doing hourly sessions with a group of learners, approximately how many levels do you think they might go up in one session?
Obviously, it's going to depend on the skill level of the learners and the age group. I found that some schools say the learners get up to level 5. I found within an hour, some learners actually get to level 20. So what I would suggest, if you want to limit them, instead of giving them the levels on the phones, no, that's part of the coding kit. We give you printouts of the levels, and you give them only the first 5 levels and say solve that, and you have a phone roaming around. But for a primary school kid of, say, grades 5 or 6, they should really get to level 10 within 45 minutes. It's quite easy up to level 10. The first real challenge I find is level 16. So most intermediate phase primary school kids should get to level 15 quite easily, but it obviously depends on their personal technical skills.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. With the shoot, you said you can shoot from a distance or close up. Should we encourage the learners to shoot first and then move?
Yeah, you can shoot first and then move further. You don't need to move up to the gravel to shoot it away. But you can only shoot one heap away with one shot.
Okay, but so we should encourage them to shoot first from a distance?
Well, yeah, it depends on what's the most easiest thing to do. When we start doing loops, it makes sense to shoot them away first. But that's only relevant from level 11. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. I hope this was useful. Boats is very basic, so I don't think you feel that you learned a lot about coding today, but I think it's a nice tool to use in your class. I'm going to finish now. You can email me or WhatsApp me if you want instructional videos on the actual apps. Thanks, and then we talk again next week.
Is there time for another question?
Yes, sure. Yeah, I've got time.
I wondered if we are doing this with just one session per week. Is there some way or some special activities that we can send children away with to practice at home to do with left and right? That they seem to cope with left and right well, but it's the idea that if, for example, the tank is facing down and it's moving anti-clockwise, they want to say it's going right. You know, it's sort of like that full circle left or the full circle right. They seem to be finding it tough.
What we have in the boat kits, but you can manually do that as well, is you can draw little pictures on a spreadsheet and give them sheets to go and fill in the commands at home. They don't need the apps. So you can typically have all in Word on a table where you have squares. Put your star somewhere and put your tank somewhere, and tell them, give them worksheets to go and write out the commands that will take the tank to the star. So it's physical on pen and paper activities around tanks or boats. It's obviously the same thing. What we have in boats as part of the coding kit, which you can also manufacture yourself, is we call it debugging exercises, finding the errors. So you give them the picture of where the boat needs to go, and then you fill in the commands, but you make a mistake, and then they can go and find the errors. That's the only two things that I can think of related to boats and apps that they can go and do at home.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's helpful.
And obviously they can play with the packs at home and see whether they can get them right. Any last questions?
I don't want to take up time if anyone else has got questions, but also last week you had some examples of some really interesting activities like the marshmallows and the straws or those sorts of things. Should that be something that we do additionally just in the classroom as well as these boats and tanks, or is that something separate? Definitely, that's problem solving. So as I said, I think last week, computational logic or problem solving is very much coding. So I would say do more of that than boats and tanks coding. That's more important actually. The tanks levels from level 10 up is also problem solving, but doing all those activities is just as important and just as valuable. That's why we sent you those 40 activities from Keith last week. Yes, we're thinking of over 2 terms putting up one a week in every classroom just for them to look at, or down at the end of the passage just for those whose mind